Hey guys, it's the Gimp from THC Digest. In this video, I'm basically going to go over all the equipment and supplies I'm using for my upcoming grow, which I just started about a week ago. So I'm going to have updates coming out pretty soon for my growing. So if you want to see all the updates and get them right when they're coming out, be sure to subscribe. So with that being said, here's the list. So the first part of a hydro weed grow, obviously you need a hydro system. So this is all the parts. I'm going to go over each one individually. The first part is the tank and the lid. Obviously it needed to be cleaned at this point, which I did, but you can see it's a pretty simple thing. And here it is with the lid off. On the inside, you can see that I've marked fill lines. One is a 4-gallon line, one is a 5-gallon line. Whenever I clean the tank, I fill it up to 5 gallons, and then as the plants drink the water and it gets down to 4 gallons, I add another gallon. So that's how that works. This next picture is the air pump and the stone. Basically the air pump will be outside the tank, sucking in air, and then it will feed it into the stone, which will be inside the tank. And this will keep the water inside, have plenty of oxygen and all that. The roots must have oxygen in the water or they will die. So it's very important. The next part is the water pump and the manifold. Basically the water pump and the manifold will both be inside the water. The pump will feed water into the manifold, which will then feed water into the plant or the pot holders. And here's what it looks like when the water pump is connected to the manifold. This next picture is a pot holder. It's also got some hydroton pellets and rock wool cube. Obviously when I plant it, the rock wool cube needs to be a lot more inside, like it shouldn't be hanging out like it is, but I wanted to show everyone, give them a good view of what it looks like. And here's what it looks like in the tank. So basically this is all the components. You can get all this stuff from Stealth Hydroponics. That's where I got mine. This equipment right here is about $100, and you can get some other stuff as well. I do have links down below, so if you want to get that stuff, go ahead and check them out. So the next important part of a weed grow is to have seeds, unless you have clones. But I don't ever clone because you need a separate room where you can grow a mother plant, and I don't have that, so I grow from seeds. And when I order them, I order from Nirvana. A lot of people have asked me, is it safe to order seeds online? And in my experience, I've never had a problem. My last 3 grows, I've been using Nirvana, and they basically just send you an envelope. It's got like some kind of container, like something cardboard or something, within the envelope, and within there is a package like this. So you can see the seeds are pretty protected. They label the seeds that they give you and all that. Now as far as ordering seeds, in this case I used the Bubbleponics because I've grown them before and it's been successful, and I wanted to make sure I had a really good grow this time. So I wanted to get seeds I had some experience with. If you're going to pick something else, I would highly suggest whatever you do pick, especially if you're a beginner, pick an indica if you're doing an indoor grow, because it will keep your grow shorter. And also be sure to pick feminized seeds, because you only want to grow females, you don't want males. So the best value is to grow feminized seeds. They cost a little more, but you're not going to have to rip out any plants, halfway through your grow because they're males. The next important part of any grow, whether you're doing hydro or soil, is lighting. I think lighting is probably the most important place to put your money when you're getting equipment and supplies. You do not want to skip on light because light will have the biggest factor on your overall yield. Light is equal to the plant's food source. So the more food you give them, the bigger they're going to get. So that's why I've chosen to go with the HID system. That means high intensity discharge. Basically, it has a huge light output. The only downside of an HID system is the amount of heat it puts out. But I have taken care of that by putting a fan in my grow room. I also have an AC unit in the same room as well. So I can control the heat. My very first grow, I didn't have these things. Well, I didn't have an AC. And my grow room was getting over 100 degrees. So my plant died. So as long as you can control heat, I would definitely recommend an HID system. So in this picture you can see I have a reflector. This makes sure that I keep as much light going towards my plants as possible. Without the reflector, your light just goes everywhere. So a lot of light photons are basically wasted because they're going into the wall, not into your plants, which is what you want. I also have the two bulbs here. I have a metal halide, which I use for the vegetative state. And then I have a HPS, or high pressure sodium bulb, which I put in for the flowering stage. And the last thing down in the bottom left is the light timer. Now basically this is for controlling the light phases. This basically helps me set up the vegetative and flowering phase. For the vegetative phase, I put the light on for 24 hours, so I don't need the timer. But for the flowering stage, you put it on, the light on for 12 hours and off for 12 hours. So this timer sets it up automatically. I also got this stuff from Stealth Hydroponics, but if you want to get a different HID source, there's plenty of places. Amazon has a ton of lighting suppliers, so feel free to use those as well. So up to this point, I've been primarily going over equipment. Equipment you don't really need to replace that often, and actually I've been using the same equipment that I got initially, and I've been using it a few years now, and I haven't had to replace anything. So it's pretty reliable as long as you take care of it. Now the stuff I'm going to be going into now is more like supplies, which is stuff you're going to have to replace every grow, every other grow, depending on how big your plants get, how long your grows last, and that kind of stuff. The first thing is the nutrients. Now I use General Hydroponics Flora series. I use it primarily because of the research I did when I started. I haven't used any other nutrient lineup, so I can't really say how it stacks up against other nutrients, but it has worked well for me, so I haven't really had any sort of need to try something else. The results have been really good, so I can't argue with that. The next thing you need is a pH balancing kit. It's really important that you control the pH, because if it goes outside a certain range, which is 6.5 to 7.5, or I take that back, 5.5 to 6.5, then basically your plants can't get any of the nutrients that they need. So it is critical, and this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that hydro growers make, is keeping the pH in control. You should be checking your pH every day or twice a day. I use the pH meter, the yellow thing in the glass, to make sure that I'm in the right range. And if it's too low, you use pH up and bring it up. If it's too high, you use pH down. Pretty simple. The last thing that I use, and I've been using it since my second grow, which died to root rot, it's called Canazyme. And basically what it does is it's a enzyme that breaks down the bacteria that causes root rot. So it's a way to prevent root rot from ever getting hold in your roots. So it helps keep them a lot more healthy. I've been using it since I lost an entire grow to root rot, and since then everything's been good. So I highly recommend it. The last thing I want to go over is the watering system that I use. Now, I like to take every precaution that I can and actually use filtered water instead of unfiltered water. I've never actually tested, like I wish I could do a side-by-side test to do filtered water versus unfiltered water. But since I can't do that, I just want to take the safe route and use filtered water. It might have no difference, it might have a big difference. So I just like to be safe. I'm using a pure water filter. It was only like $50 from Amazon. So I think it's worth it, and plus I get to drink filtered water. And you can see that I have some sort of janky system to get the water into the 5-gallon jug. But it works really well, so can't complain. So that's the entire list. If you're just starting out and you don't have any of this stuff, the entire equipment that I use, equipment and supplies, it's probably about $500. And then it's probably about $50 to $70 for each grow. And if that sounds like a decent amount of money to you, just remember that weed costs a lot of money. So growing it saves you a ton. And all it takes is one successful grow for all this equipment and supplies to pay for itself and then some. Also, if you really want to help out THC Digest and you decide that you are going to buy some of this stuff, please use the links below. When you buy stuff through those links, a portion of it will go to help support THC Digest, which I really appreciate, so thank you. And next week you'll see my updates for my grow and all that stuff. So again, be sure to subscribe. And until then, happy growing.